Hello everyone, John Adams from Keysight's EMEA NSS, here to give you some information about the network and application security portfolio. So most of this portfolio is going to be coming from an acquisition from a company called Ixia. So Ixia was founded as a layer 2 through 7 testing company focusing on load, protocol, and capacity, and where you would have network equipment manufacturers buy this equipment and these applications to verify that what they were selling was going to be functional in the real world. From that, the end customers of this equipment could also buy the same testing platforms to verify that the manufacturing company was properly going through their QA process and they were ensuring that these devices were able to complete their jobs. After becoming a market leader, they decided to go into the visibility market with acquisitions of Anui and NetOptics. I actually came in with the NetOptics acquisition working for the technical support team at that time. So with this acquisition, you see the inclusion of taps, bypasses, and network packet brokers. So this creates the access to traffic and the infrastructure to provide only the data that's required to all your tool farms. So from there, we get into the maturity of the Hawkeye platform, which is an active network monitoring platform for production testing. And then we also get the maturity of the Cloud Lens solution, which acts as a tap for extracting east to west traffic inside of our virtualized environments. So from there, 2017, Keysight decides to acquire Ixia. So from this picture, you can see a little bit more. The portfolio generally fits anywhere inside the network. So in each one of these positions, you'd have generally a large chassis that can push a lot of traffic to make sure that everything could work functionally first in a pre-deployment state before you go into the production environment. From that point, we see that Hawkeye would then come in to be the validation of these configurations from our pre-deployment to be able to go ahead and test on a very minimized amount of traffic, but on very specific types of traffic to understand how is the voice calls or how are they going, and how is the YouTube feed going, why do we have access to Microsoft 365 and things like that. And we also have here the breaking point system acting as a security and resilience tester, so pre-deployment security testing. And once again, we have a spin-off of this called the threat simulator, which I'll speak about a little bit later. And you see also at the very bottom we have the network visibility piece. Again, this is a way to validate everything is working as it's supposed to. And we want to extract all the data, all 100% of the data by use of taps, and then leading that to a packet broker and then sending only what's required of all of this data to the tools that need it. So real quickly, why was this acquisition done, and who's Keysight, perhaps if you haven't heard the name? So Keysight actually spins off from the original Hewlett-Packard company, where they were the electronic measurement and test business of that company. And as it grew, they got more into, let's say, PC building and things like that. And this portion of that business spun off to build Agilent Technologies. And kind of lucky for me, I was able to use Agilent spectrum analyzers back when I was a satellite communications technician for the U.S. military and working in network operations centers for the government. So from there, the electronic test and measurement business of this Agilent technology decides to spin off again to create Keysight. And Keysight's primary focus is 5G test, and that whole 5G test revolution. And they have such a long history of layer 1 testing, making sure chips, wafers are working or are built correctly. And then Ixia comes behind to now provide the application traffic, the understanding of the user experience, so you can go from end to end and understand everything. So we can help you both with professional services and certain testing equipment to go from your design phase all the way through the entire end of it to helping you deploy, using professional services to help you automate and make your operation a bit more smooth, and then also giving you options to have an automated way to defend yourself, to understand that you're going to get the return on investments from your pre-deployment testing, which usually is quite expensive, and also you want to validate that your doors are always closed so that you don't get a breach and find that fine that's going to be more expensive than everything. So, to begin with, we'll talk very briefly over the Hawkeye Active Network Monitoring Platform. So this is an automated platform, meaning I can be one technician that will do a little bit of configuration with a web UI, not using CLI too much at all. And I'm going to be able to configure these endpoints to act like 1,000 of me, so that I can have people testing, or endpoints testing, testing whether the voice calls between my data center and my branch offices are working correctly, and if I have 25 of them, they can all be tested at the same time. Hawkeye will then aggregate all that information into a very beautiful report that will make it very easy for me to, let's say, decipher this information, to troubleshoot and find the problems. Where I've heard from Gartner, I believe it was from Gartner, or at least the mean time to resolution, around 80% of that has been found just in the troubleshooting phase of trying to understand that situation. So you allow this automation to start testing everything, again, in the most minimal sense, to understand just how is the user experience on, say, a single phone call. And then from there, it changes a bit of your support process, because now you're not having a customer call with the pain and you have no idea what's going on. Your Hawkeye platform can give you that information. You'll have a report in front of you, and then when your customer calls with the pain, you can explain to them what the problem is. From there, we're going into the breaking point. This is a pre-deployment security testing platform. We're going to send a lot of traffic at your firewall or your IPS, and then while we're sending this very, very heavy load, we're going to start sending attacks as well to make sure, even when the device is stressed, it can handle the attacks and it won't miss anything, because one miss could potentially mean a breach. So after we've done the pre-deployment security testing, as I said, we'll then move into Threat Simulator. Threat Simulator is since you already have your production traffic available on your network, we don't need to load your network, so we're just going to start sending these single attacks once a day, once an hour, up to you, however you wish to automate it, to validate for you that you are not open for this attack, that your firewall will block it, and we'll also check to make sure this seam does validate it did receive the message from the firewall that, hey, we would block this attack. From there, we have the Cloud Lens virtualization tab. This is used to expose the east and west traffic inside your virtualized environments. As you see, we have a public-private hybrid. You can translate these into, of course, the public infrastructure as a services, your Googles, your Azures, your AWS, but then also your hypervisors and then your containerized environments as well, allowing you to manage hybrid and multi-vendor environments much, much easier. So visibility provides clarity and confidence. It is the validation point for your entire operation in a lot of cases. So what you do is you apply a tap or a bypass to access the traffic and send it north to a packet broker. The packet broker is going to then do, let's say, make the traffic more efficient for the tools it will head to. So only the packets that are necessary will go to those tools, and those tools won't have to have cycles on things that aren't needed. So a better way to visualize that, and why it's kind of a necessary point, is that in a lot of cases you're going to be trying to pull information from several different types of sources, and then also, these devices, probably when you initially put them in, you weren't thinking about a visibility deployment on top of that. You're not going to have enough ports, or it's going to create load on the device that's going to make your production network in trouble, and that's something else that's not too, let's say, wise to walk into. So what we're stating is that you can use a network packet broker to aggregate all of these lines, whether it be span ports or taps or just switch ports, whatever the case may be. The traffic gets to the packet broker, and then you use a GUI just to extract only what you need to send to those devices. Let's say the leanest traffic, the most efficient traffic for that device, ensuring once again you get return on investment on these other devices and on your security tools and your network performance monitoring tools, so that you can ensure they have the longest lifespan possible. So at the end of the day, the network visibility delivers the right data from anywhere in the network to every monitoring tool that it needs to. And then this can span between the public cloud, your hybrid clouds, your private clouds, all of the above. So I hope you enjoyed the talk, and happy testing.
So that you can ensure they have the longest lifespan possible.